Hey guys, and welcome to a showdown between the might of Wei up against Catan as the spirit of the jungle marches to war once again up against the ever-chosen. Now, Lizardmen versus Chaos is a particularly fun matchup. I like it quite a bit because there's so many different ways that both players can play, and both these guys certainly going rather off meta. So let's hop in here and have a look at the builds. So for the force of the Lizardmen, we do have the typical chameleon skinks, and we have 4 of them down on this left-hand flank. They're going to be a little bit more expensive than usual because they are chevroned up, so we'll have to see if they are worth the cost. In the main battle line, it shall be red-crested skinkies. Now, red-crested skinkies can certainly do a decent job. They do have a pretty decent AP all round. They are frenzied, armor-piercing, poison, all that good stuff you'd expect to be able to take down Warriors of Chaos and do pretty well as well up against Marauders and all that good stuff. Though they are far more susceptible to than Saurus to burn heads and other such stuff because they are a little bit on the squishy side. To help beef up the army in general, we do have 2 units of Saurus spears with shields just in the back here, and they're going to be led by none other than the Kai, the Wanderer, the Beast, the Myth, the Spirit of the Jungle himself, who can somehow flip around his weapon there, and he's coming in with the humble Primal Roar, and that's it. A very powerful area of effect ability, increasing melee attack and physical resistance by 40 and 22%, which is absolutely ridiculous, but it doesn't last too long, and that is kind of the downside of it. We have a cheeky little Skink Chief over here as well, hiding out, and a Bastildon with Solar Engine. Bastildon with Solar Engine is a weird unit because a lot of people tell me in the comments that it needs buffing, and a lot of people tell me it's OP. So what do you guys think? Let me know. I think it's a little solid utility piece. It does have a little bit of a tendency to miss more often than not compared to other artillery pieces, but it's very powerful and good utility as well amongst the Lizardmen forces. And right in the back, forgotten about, we do have Lord Kroak, who shall be floating towards the battlefield. Lord Kroak is a really fun model all round, and at the same time can bring a bucket ton of punch. He's coming in with the Supreme Shield of the Old Ones, as well as the Deliverance of Itza. Huge, big old explosions of magical fiery fury to bring upon the Warriors of Chaos here. Speaking of Chaos, we do have 2 units of Marauder Horsemen for them, just vanguarding in front of the build, but he hasn't gone for the full skirmish way of playing Chaos, which I like to see now and again them go a little bit more bad to the bones, and there's not much more bad to the bones than Chaos Marauders, particularly for cheap infantry. These guys just love a scrap, darting their headlong and ramming their axes in the faces of their opponents. In the secondary line, we do have Forsaken. It looks like 2 units, in fact. And backing them up, we have Chaos Warriors with great weapons in reserve, guarding a mighty Hell Cannon. Up in the skies, we have the cheaper version of the Exalted Hero Manticore, and that's just the humble 2 Chaos Feral Manticores. These are relatively cheap for single entity terror-causing monsters, and can still pack a pretty huge punch, though they do rampage, of course, which is a big downside to them. And in the forces, we have Archaon the Ever-Chosen, coming in with Burning Head, Cascading Fire Cloak, Fireball, and of course he has some of his lovely items like Stand or Die, but more importantly the Slayer of Kings, meaning he can go toe-to-toe with the best of them. 2 really fun builds, a lot of stuff you don't often see as well coming in from both of them, so I'm pretty excited to see how this battle does play out. Marauder Horsemen aren't going to have too much problems initially getting close to the Bastildon, but as soon as it starts turning and shooting, it will be blinding them. If we have a nice little look at that debuff here, it does in fact lower accuracy, melee attack and melee defense. It's a pretty huge buff, but debuff I should say, but only lasts 10 seconds, which of course is the kind of drawback of it there. When the Horsemen are going to be fleeing, the Hell Cannon is unleashing hell now upon those poor little Skinkies. We're going to have to march through the Hellfire into battle. But all round, Red-Crested Skinks aren't particularly a good target for the Hell Cannon. They have a relatively spread out formation and they're not insanely expensive. Although there are some Saurus Warriors slowly catching up who may be a better fit for the fire of the Hell Cannon. But it's doing some pretty decent work already. Got this unit down to 72 models and they're already nearly to the point of breaking due to the pressure of those Horsemen coming in. Some of the Lizardmen forces are starting to stalk through the trees, including these chameleon skinks looking to get close to the enemy. Lord Kroak now being brought up through the forest, which is a nice way to play him because he is hidden. And if your opponent can't see him, there's a big hill in the way here, it's a little bit of a worry because, of course, he doesn't get too much love in the competitive scene due to how slow his magic bombs does appear into the universe, but if you don't know it's there, it can cause you all kind of problems. Big Burning Head is going to go down the line on the Red-Crested Skinks, who are doing a decent job up against the Forsaken. Certainly going to be losing that fight there, and the Feral Manticores have jumped down onto the Red-Crested Skinks, slowing their advance quite a bit. The Bastildon is shooting, aiming at that Hell Cannon, trying to take it offline, which is a really good target for it. And Red-Crested Skinks now will be charging into the fray up against the Marauders. With that poison, they should fare relatively well. They have some pretty wild attack animations, the Skinks, all round. They really do put their body on the line for the Old Ones. Forsaken again obliterated in the flank by the Chameleon Skinks. Really starting to lace down those Forsaken as Nakai gets in there, slamming down some basic Marauders. We can see Lord Kroak has now started to emerge from his shadowy depths to push forward alongside the Bastildon as well as the Skink Chief, popping a Supreme shooting the old ones down on Nakai, who does have Primal Roar popped to try to give a bit of protection, particularly when those pesky Chaos Feromanticores are coming in to deal the business. Those Marauders have been able to force back the red-crested Skinks, who are running for their lives at the moment, and we have a load of Chaos Warhounds who were in Vanguard, who I didn't see earlier, have now emerged once again back into the battlefield, and things are looking a little bleak here for the Dinos. Marauders are slowly going down to Saurus Spears, and we do have all the Chameleons applying so much pressure on this left-hand side, but likewise Nakai is a little bit overextended and on his own. Mara Horseman doing some really nice damage to him, and he's starting to have to flee back, and poor Lord Kroak is now being attacked by both Chaos Feromanticores, plus the mighty Archaon, the Ever-Chosen. He will not survive long whatsoever. You can see going down here quite fast, about 3,400 HP. Luckily, a lot of the Chaos Forces are blobbing up, and it looks like we're going to get a big fat deliverance come down. Here, have this hot bacon pizza. Chaos Marauders, Forsaken, and Horsemen all getting caught out, and oh, that is some disgusting damage by Kroak. Looks like the Chaos player was instead trying to cast his own spells instead of watching out for the enemies, and some good damage there to the Saurus Warriors. However, Lord Kroak has managed to survive so far, and the Kai going toe-to-toe, and there's a lot of warriors in here of epic proportion, but the Manticores doing some good cycle charging so far by the Chaos player, hunting down the Kai, hitting him from the flanks, and poor Lord Kroak may well be going down here, as Nakai has to kind of fall back and try to cycle charge in. He's going after the Chaos Feromanticores, which is probably a good idea, because they're going to be far easier to break down than Archaon. But that little Skink Chief, he's poking the beastie down, trying his best to deal with Archaon, and with a load of Chameleon Skinks once again re-emerging, as well as the red-crested Skinks, who can hopefully do some decent damage. But there's a lot of Chaos Warriors of Greppin still alive, coming back to the battlefield. Unfortunately, the poor Hell Cannon has been neutered or rendered ineffective here. It seems the solar engine doing its job there. Chaos Warriors of Greppins are going to be doing a fantastic job up against Saurus. And the Chaos Warhounds just being used to flood through the trees, hunt down routing units, and that's some really good play that I like to see from the Chaos player. And now he's kind of being able to swoop around the battlefield and avoid the kind of worst situations at the front here, and now hop on top of those Chameleon Skinks and other squishy targets. Bastildon's doing some nice work though, does actually rampage that Chaos Feromanticore. Big fat burn head's going to come down the line. The Chameleons for the most part are able to dodge it. We do have a big boom shot coming down by Lord Kroak, but likewise it was avoided by the Chaos Warhounds, and that is the problem with Lord Kroak. He's powerful, but if your opponent's micro is on point, like Katam's is at the moment, it can be pretty hard to get value out of him. Manticore is trying to duel Nakai, or a foolish Manticore thinking he can take down the absolute god of war Nakai himself. That poor little Chameleon Skink Chief is getting ramrodded around and kind of run over and trodden right now. But there's a lot of Chameleon Skinks who can hopefully do some support and fight in here to help out. But a load of Chaos Warhounds are popping on top of the Chameleons, trying to drag them down. Luckily for them, a well-placed Supreme Shield of the Old Ones does go down, and that is going to be given a lovely, lovely bit of resistance here to all these warriors in the centre. Though the Skink Chief is looking a little low, and the Bastildon is out of control with its Primal Roar, but it is now up to a whopping 63 melee attack, and it is ramrodding the Ever-Chosen, who's had to run away from a basic Bastildon. Archaon, you insult the Chaos Gods. Primal Roar has now dissipated though, unfortunately. We're getting another big boom attack coming down, and this time it's looking to catch those Chaos Warriors who are fleeing, and it's still going to catch some of them, but nowhere near the damage output you would expect, due again to the Chaos player learning from his mistake of getting caught early on and falling back. Nakai's doing a decent job here though, dueling that Chaos Feromanticore to a standstill and maybe even be able to drag him down. Lord Kroak himself hits like an absolute truck, but hits rather rarely is kind of his problem. A load of Skinks are starting to run back with Chameleons on the flank, continuously pouring fire into the Ever-Chosen. A big fat burning head is going to go down on these camos in the back line, and oh, that's some nasty stuff. Yes, they're in skirmish mode, but they're not big on the HP pool, so any burning head that does come through will do pretty awesome damage. Balance power is slightly in favour at the moment of the Lizardmen, mainly due to probably how healthy the Wanderer is in comparison to the Ever-Chosen. He decided to dance backwards as well, but with the Slayer of Kings popped, Nakai well could be in massive trouble here. Chameleon's trying to support as well as the Bastildon, firing into the flank. Even Lord Kroak is trying to shuffle his booty over here to help support, but Nakai getting absolutely slapped right now by the Ever-Chosen in hand-to-hand combat, and if Nakai goes down, they're certainly going to be losing a load of those buffs, and no, my poor boy! He fought to the death, and I've never actually really seen his death animation before, because normally he runs for the hills before this happens, but down goes Nakai. With that though, the balance power is still in favour currently of the Lizardmen, but the Warhounds are well and truly cats among the pigeons at the moment. Chameleon Skinks getting slaughtered, ripped apart by the fangs of the hounds, and more hounds come to join in the party, and a load of the Lizardmen forces are getting shut down and put offline. Basildon does get pushed into combat to try to shut down the Warhounds, and a lovely little cast once again coming in, but no! The Chaos Warhounds do fall back. One or two may get caught in the blast, but it looks like they actually all managed to escape there. I know one dog got hit, but even he managed to survive. Maybe it did enough though to save the Chameleon Skinks, who once again can fire in. The Warhounds can simply rejoin the party, plus there is still a Chaos Feral Manticore lurking up in the skies. Arcane Never Chosen getting down to about 700 health. The Chameleons and the Skink Chief have been peppering him for quite some time, but that 120 armor and bronze shield does make him relatively tanky, and there's no Nakai to protect you now, Kroak. No Papa Nakai here anymore. I'm going to come in and get what is deserved, and Lord Kroak is certainly going to be going down here. Ever Chosen down to 700 HP. It might be worth Kroak standing and fighting and praying to the RNG gods, because if he hits, he does have 450 weapon strength, although it is rather unlikely, but there's simply no way he's going to be able to escape this. The Solar Engine is attempting to fight in to finish off the Ever Chosen, but well played here with the Feral Manticore coming in to intercept, stopping the Bastiladon from shooting, and the Chaos Warhounds are once again driving into the heart of the Lizardmen resistance, hopping on top of these Chameleon Skinks and finishing them off for good. And this is kind of how you deal with Chameleons. They haven't gotten the best targets for the majority of the battle. Once or twice they've managed to get on the Ever Chosen, but a lot of time they were kind of on the periphery of the battle and then getting hunted down by the Warhounds. A valiant defeat though. It is always valiant when you bring Nakai, regardless of if you win or lose. But really fun builds by both these players, and a really exciting battle. Hope you guys enjoyed. Now, we will be going through the damage dealt and damage value in just a second, but before we get to that, if you guys did enjoy the video, please do leave a thumbs up. It really helps push it out to the channel to more people. Likewise, feel free to subscribe for more glorious Total War Warhammer content. Comment down below, who was your MVP, what was your favourite moment of the battle, and what do you think of Solar Engines in general and Lord Kroak? Because Solar Engines are this real Marmite unit. Some people think they're disgustingly powerful, some think they're disgustingly terrible, and they can't hit anything, and all these kind of other stuff. Honestly, I think they're actually pretty well suited for the Lizardmen. I think if they were in other factions who had decent range, we would never see them, but because it's something that the Lizardmen can lack, is that kind of, artillery aspect. They have ancient salamanders and so forth. I guess you can kind of class it as artillery, but realistically you have the basic Stegdon and the Solar Engine, and I think the Solar Engine's a little bit more cost effective for what it does. There are links down below in the description to my Discord if you would like to join Summit replays to me. Get involved in the tournament scene and events that I host. Keep up to date with the channel, hone your warrior skills and all that good stuff. There's a link down below, as well as links to my Patreon where you can support the channel, as well as my Games Planet account. If you would like to pre-order Total Warhammer 3, the new DLC, or get any Warhammer games at a discount, you can do it down there. But anyway, on to the good stuff. So how did Wade perform? Pretty damn good. I actually really liked his build. It's certainly not the most competitive way of doing this. Realistically, you want probably 5 kind of cohorts of javelins, 5 chameleon skinks, some kind of long-range pressure, either a solar engine or a basic stegodon with a great bow, and a couple of large dinosaurs, and you kind of kite and pull around the Warriors of Chaos, or you can go toe-to-toe in the dino game, but that's a little bit risky right now with how popular skirmish cavalry is. But he did good with what he had. 1.8k damage value on the Kai is always rather impressive. The poor little Skink Chief, though he was firing for a decent time at Archaon, he just couldn't pierce the thick armor with his little blow dart, which of course did cause all kinds of problems. So only 135 damage value on him. Lord Kroak 2k, certainly not too shabby. One really good cast of the Deliverance there managed to catch a lot of units out, but the others were kind of well dodged, and that's slightly the problem with Lord Kroak, to be honest. The Red Crested Skinks across the board fared pretty poorly. Some of them getting some okay damage value, like 500, but Burning Heads were used really effectively, combined with the pressure of the Hell Cannon and good cycle charge with the Manticores. A really good mobile terror did kind of see to the end, unfortunately, of the Red Crested Skinks. Saurus didn't fare much better, and the Chameleons really struggled. 270 damage value, 687 on this one, the others 474, 398, and considering these guys were bought chevrons, they really did not pay for themselves. However, the unit which did pay for itself was that Solar Engine, coming in with nearly just shy of 2,000 damage value, with the 1,908, destroying the Hell Cannon and also doing some really lovely focus fire down on Archaon. And if they managed to drive him off the field, the battle might have been completely different, because if they finish him off, the Warhounds lose a lot of their leadership, and then the Bastiladon can protect the Chameleons whilst they mop up the rest of Katam's build. Katam, very talented Norscan player all round, and players who tend to be good with Norska tend to be good with Warriors of Chaos as well because they're similar playstyles, and he certainly showed that here. 3.3k damage value on the Ever-Chosen is pretty disgusting. Marauders struggled, but they are cheap and cheerful themselves. Likewise, the Forsaken kind of got obliterated. A lot of that due, though, to Lord Kroak getting that nice shot in the mid-game. The Chaos Warriors Great did okay, 558 damage value, 794, and the Horsemen performed okay as well, but nothing too crazy to be honest on either side damage value-wise, apart from one or two kind of standout units. Chaos Warriors did a good job in the late game hunting down the enemy, and the Ferroman scores 1,876 damage value respectively, both performing quite well, and the Hell Cannon only 555, getting shut down by the superior artillery of the Children of the Old One. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. Until next time, peace, peace. And as always, stay awesome.